Hi, it's James from Enso, and I'm looking at day 3 of Advent of Code. Let's see how we get on. Today, what we've got to do is look for the highest two digits that can be found in a set of numbers ranging from 1 to 9. I've loaded in the example and my own specific data set, and let's see how we can work with it. I'm going to start by parsing the lines of the input so I get them all as separate lines, as we have to deal with one at a time, and then I'm going to pick one to deal with. What I want to do here is, having thought about it for a second, is I want to find the highest digit, which is not the last digit of the text. And so I'm going to build a function to do this. Previously, I've been using Enso's table functions. This time, I'm going to use Enso as a functional programming language. So let's think how we can do that. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to ignore the last character. So having picked one string, I can drop the last character. And then what I want to do is I want to find the highest character in the remaining strings. So I'll do characters. I will then do a sort into descending order and take the first value. That should give me the highest character in the string, in this case a 9. Let's try it on a different example. Let's try case 2 and check we get the result we expect. The highest string in here is 7. That looks good, ignoring the last 8, which is exactly what we want to do. And now what I now want to do is take the existing string, the whole string, and this time I want to drop before the first time that digit occurs. And what that should give me in this case is a 7 and an 8. That looks promising. And then I'm going to drop one more because I want to ignore the first character this time. And then I'm going to now do exactly the same as I did before to find the highest character in the remaining string. 8, and now last step, I'm going to put these together. So we'll add plus, put in the value, and then pass this to an integer. And hopefully we've got 78, which is what we were expecting for the second case. But let's just check on case 1. We should get 89, which we do. That's perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a reusable function. To do that, I select the block I want and I press the button at the top, which creates a reusable function. And I'm going to rename this as highest pair. And hit return. Hit a recalculation to make sure it picks up the new function. And now I've got the first value to now compute over the set. I'm going to apply a map. If I detach the sample input and connect that into here, I've now generated the sequence of pairs, which aligns with the examples they've given. And now I'm going to compute some of those. 357, which was the example they gave us. So we can plug this into my real data set, so much longer strings in this case. And again, we produce the final answer of 72,330. That's part 1. I'll pause the video while I add in part 2. So I've pasted in the text for part 2, and let's look how we can adjust part 1 to cover it. Part 2, instead of having 1 digit, they want us to have 12. So this is going to be looking again the same pattern. We look for the highest number with at least 11 digits after. Then we look for the highest number with 10 after, and 9, and then so on and so on and so on. So we can adjust the function we built in the last part to cover this. Let's show you how we can alter a collapse function in Enso. So I'll paste a copy of the function and just reinitialize it. and connect that into there so we can see the result. And what we should get is the answer of 89, exactly as we had before. And let's go into that and edit this function. So to go into a function, I can double click on it or click on here and open the user defined component. And this lets me see the inside of the function and edit it how I want. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over in the arguments and I want to add a new argument into it. And I'm going to add digits. That's going to be an integer. And I'm going to give it a default value of 2. This can then, I can then say, take 1 from that and feed that into the part that was ensuring that we had at least 1 character left. That means that if we are asking for 10 digits, we'll make sure we drop the last 9 characters, so there's at least 9 characters left after that. The rest of the other logic remains similar, but let's add a couple of comments on here to help us find these in the code behind, which we're going to have a look at in a minute. This is the highest first digit, and this is down here is the remaining text. So let's add a comment on that one. So far, so good. Okay, so let's jump back up to the project. We can do that by clicking on Day 3 Lobby, which is project name. And now let's have a look at the code behind and see what else we need to edit. So if I open the code window, I can do that with keyboard shortcut or clicking this icon here. Scroll down, I can see the code for the function we've created. And what I need to do is I need to change it so that after we've got the remaining text and the highest first digit, if we have not got to digit number 2, we can instead iterate downwards. So let's add an if condition, and I'm going to write this in code. So if digits is greater than 2, then nothing else. So we'll just put in our placeholder for the minute, and we're going to indent that by 1 tab to align it so it calls this block if the digits are not equal to 2. Let's make sure that's working. We hit the refresh button. We should still keep it 89. If we now click in here, click where it says digits and type 3, we should hopefully see nothing. So that's perfect. So what we want to do here is instead of returning nothing, we now want to call this function with the remaining text and 1 digit less. So we can do that by just saying highest pair, badly named at this point, text 4 and digits -1. And if we now refresh the workflow again, we should hopefully see 819, which is the leading 19 we see because we aren't keeping the 8 at the moment, but it's keeping one of the 1s and the 9 at the end. Now again, we want to drill that. We now need to change that slightly, and what we need to do is we need to add the any1 value, which is the highest first digit, and you can see that all the components are given a variable name on the left here. We're going to add that in front of the result of the one lower down. But on this one going lower down, I'm going to convert it to text so that we get a text value. We now hit refresh. Hopefully we'll get 819, but it's now become text. So the last thing I need to do is convert it back into an integer, which I can do by calling parse integer. And again, let's try one more refresh and make sure we get an integer value. Perfect. We now have our new function for the 12 digit. If I drag out from here, create a map, and then right click on the connection and delete it, I can then plug this into the function, change it from 3 to 12. We now get our 12 digits, and again I want another compute to total it up, and hopefully that should total the 30 huge number that they were expecting. Looks correct. Now we can switch it over to my real data, close the visualization on the function, and that is part 2 complete.